Hey everyone, welcome to another macro photography video. So today I'm just out in my local forest for another photo walk, another macro walk. Nothing special, but it has been raining recently, which means that it's quite wet, and that means that I'm hoping to find stuff like springtails and other soil animals that come out of the soil and become more active when it's been raining, when it's a bit more moist in autumn. So let's see what I can find. I've got my usual camera set up with me, the Fujifilm X-H2 with the Laowa 65mm and 25mm lenses, and yeah, just gonna see what kind of photos I can get, and let's go. So one place that it's worth looking in kind of wetter conditions like this is on fallen down branches that are covered with moss and stuff, like this one right here. Because often springtails and stuff will become active on these branches and will come out, and if you can get a picture of a springtail or something in the moss, that makes for a really interesting background. So I'm just going to actually just pick this up and kind of scan along and see what I can find. There's lots of springtails on the underside, for sure, but it would be cool to find one inside some of the kind of leaves of the moss. So let's see what I can find. There's one that looks like a good spot. I've got the Laowa 25mm on for more magnification. Kind of flip out my screen. And then find the springtail, always the challenge. There, that looks like it could be quite a nice framing though, if I can get a good angle. Something like that. Cool, and then I'll just go for a quick stack. So I've just flipped over this large log here, and there's some really interesting looking fungi on here that have a very cool brown, almost velvety texture on the underside. So I'm just going to have a look along and see if I can spot any animals on this texture, any little springtails or woodlice or something like that. And I think that that can make a really interesting texture to have something like that. Yeah, on such an interesting texture. So I think there's a springtail right there, a globular springtail. So I'm just going to go for a quick stack of that. There's some water drops surrounding it, and it just makes quite a nice little scene. After looking a bit further, I've also spotted a very small weevil here in the genus Strophosoma, and if I can get a good angle on this one, I think it could make for a nice portrait. It's also in this really interesting fungal kind of velvety texture. I think that's quite a nice angle, so I'll just get a quick stack. It's very difficult to show on video, but this log here is completely covered with globular springtails, with Dicitomino ornata. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to maybe even try and get quite a close-up portrait of one. We'll see if I can find one at a good angle and a good position. There's even some climbing up these bits that are sticking out. And if I can find a good angle, that one looks pretty good, for example. In this case, I'm able to get a low angle if I can find the springtail. There. So I think I got one or two good portraits there, and I thought I would also see if I can find a few springtails that are actually together that are close enough that I can get them in one image. Just kind of difficult with the Laowa 25mm, because even at the lowest magnification, which is 2.5x, the picture is still less than a centimeter wide, but I think I should be able to find them just because there's so many. So I'm gonna see if I can find a group that looks kind of decent. Up there, that looks like it could work. There's a couple close together. Yeah, I think so. So I'll just go for a stack of those as well. So while obviously most of the things that I'll photograph at this time of year are in the leaf litter under logs, I have spotted a very small long-jawed orb weaver in the genus Tetragnatha just on this twig here. So I'm going to carefully grab the twig, and this is actually a good opportunity to show very useful technique for shooting stuff that's kind of higher up on twigs and things. If I just take a photo like this at the angle where it is, you can see I've got quite a dark background, almost entirely black background. So for comparison, if I just use a slightly slower shutter speed, that was at 1/200th, now I'll shoot at 1/100th of a second, and then I point up towards the sky. Then that means that there's a lot more ambient light in the background. The background has a higher exposure, so if I take an example shot like that, you can see there's a lighter background, kind of more of a gray. So I'm going to get a shot of this spider, just pointing up towards the sky, so I've got kind of a grayish background, I guess, and then shoot a quick stack. So here underneath this little log, I've spotted something very cool. It is actually another globular springtail, which are becoming, I guess, kind of the main theme of this video, which is not a bad thing because they're some of my very favorite subjects to photograph at this time of year. But this one here is infected by the parasitic fungus Pandora batulata, which is always an interesting scene to see. The springtail is dead at this point, but the fungus has very interesting looking filaments and spores and stuff, and always makes for a cool picture. So I'm gonna see if I can get a good angle on this. Well, first of all, actually find the subjects. That's the biggest challenge, because I'm shooting on the Laowa 25mm at around 4.5 times magnification, which means that the entire picture is only a few millimeters wide, and it's really difficult to find your subject at this magnification. What I like to do sometimes, if I really am struggling, is place my finger a bit to the side of what I'm photographing. Then I can find my finger in the frame, and then go a bit to the side, and then I've got it. So I found the springtail here, the infected springtail. Just gonna go for a quick stack first. And there in this picture you can see all of these kind of, I think it's, whether it's the spores or the kind of filaments of the fungus. Looks very interesting either way. So that's all for now. I think I got a few photos that I'm quite happy with. I'm especially excited about the springtail and the moss, and a few other shots that I think could turn out quite nice. You may also have noticed that the video quality in this video looks quite different, and that's because I'm trying out my new video camera setup for the first time, which is the Fujifilm X-S20, and I got the Viltrox 27mm f1.2 lens. So this is the first time I'm trying it out. I'm not really sure how the footage and everything will look. Let me know what you think about this, but if the quality in this video looks good, this will probably be my main video setup for future videos as well. So yeah, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.